The Mzuzu Airport, Department of Civil Aviation. So this was my humble abode for the night. Came with a mirror, sink, pretty much a full bathroom. All for the very humble price of 2,500 kwacha, which is like $3.50 US, which is actually less than the price of the room that was left to be desired the night I ended up bunking with the military. And this place is actually much nicer. Final day in the highlands of Malawi. Lake Malawi, one of the biggest lakes in Africa, stretches from the very north all the way to the very south of Malawi and takes up about a third of the area of the country. And we'll be getting further acquainted with it as we continue through northern Malawi. But first, we have to prioritize on finding a place to stay. I think due to heavy headwinds and maybe just being lackadaisical today, we're pretty far behind schedule of getting to Chitimba. I'm not actually sure we'll make it, but let's see what happens. Thankfully, these ones in front of me are actually smaller than the ones before. Bigger ones are over there. I shouldn't be stopping like this to film things, but how could you not? So we didn't quite make it to Chitimba, rather this roadside lodge, which is pretty nice because it's right along the lake. I'd actually really like to go in the lake, but it is a well-known fact that the lake has a few nasty parasites. I mean, a few varieties, probably millions of those parasites. So I'm not going to be jumping in the water. And also definitely going to be using my water filter for drinking the tap water, because the water that they're using in the lodge comes from the lake. Truly a beautiful place. I don't know if it was the fact that I was listening to the waves while eating breakfast this morning, but this place makes me really happy. But as much as I'd like to just keep bicycling along the coast of Lake Malawi, I'd be remiss to not check out Livingstonia, which is a place of great historical importance for not only Malawi but Africa in general. But I will be explaining that in a full separate video I'll be doing of my little off-bike adventure to Livingstonia. Or not. So it turns out the road going to Livingstonia was in really bad condition, so it's undergoing construction right now, which means that you can only go via a private motorcycle that'll have to take you up, only you, and then wait up there while you're visiting and then take you back down. And naturally that ends up being quite a bit more expensive than what I had heard, which is that there was pickup trucks just going up and down. You can hop in for a really good rate. So I guess we're not going to Livingstonia after all. Livingstonia, hello, good, you? Livingstonia was the place where the first African was baptized. and Livingstonia refers to David Livingstone, who led a group of Scottish missionaries through a transcontinental trek of Africa, which at the time was a very difficult thing to do. Hello. And if you've seen my video of the Blantyre City Tour and History video, I talk more about David Livingstone in that one. They're drying these small fish that people eat dry. Haven't tried it yet. So I was really craving yogurt, but most of these shops here in Malawi don't carry it. I think it might just be too expensive, and most shops don't have refrigeration. And then miraculously, I saw a People's Grocery Store, which is a chain of kind of smaller sized grocery stores in Malawi, and they would have almost certainly had yogurt. And I was super excited to go, and then just before the grocery store, there was a man who looked really angry, who was pointing at me. I didn't think too much about it. He was kind of sort of angrily saying something at me, and I kind of just tried to wave and smile, tried to diffuse the situation. But then as I'm going to turn into the grocery store, I look behind me and he is running full blast towards me. So I had to just sort of, start pedaling fast, get away from him. And then he kept chasing me for a really long time. So yeah, that was just really bad luck that I didn't get to get that yogurt, which would have been a nice treat of sugar, fat, and protein for what I'm planning to do today, which is make it to Karonga, which will end up being, if I make it, 100 kilometers, a little bit over actually, 100 kilometers on the day, which typically wouldn't be so bad since it's not going to be too hilly, given that we're close to the lakeside here. But then again, I've not done really anything over like 80 kilometers since getting sick before the long way, so let's see what happens. We're now clear of Karonga and approaching the border with Tanzania, and thus we'll end our time in Malawi, which I've heard has been called the warm heart of Africa. And people have been pretty nice, except for that one guy yesterday who was maybe overly protective of his supermarket. So, given that our time here in Malawi is coming to a close, I was doing some reflecting last night about my time here, and and I decided that I would reveal something that is not going to put me in a flattering light. So you may have heard me mention that in the journey through Southern Malawi video, the country has the third or fourth lowest GDP per capita. So basically that it's a very poor country. So that to say that Malawi has been the country where I've definitely gotten the most people begging for money. And actually it hasn't really been begging in Malawi. It is more of an imperative kind of aggressive way of demanding for money, really. People say, give me money, or just money. And I guess the part that's unflattering on my part is that I haven't given any money to anybody who's just asked me for money without having you know, done anything. I mean, I have given some food to people who look like they really needed it, but so I guess my reasoning for that is that I get asked for money maybe at least 20 times per day. So my time here in Malawi, you know, close to maybe 1,000 people have asked me for, hello, good morning. Close to 1,000 people have asked me, you know, for money. Children. So if I were to be wanting to be altruistic here, and let's say I decided an amount that I would want to give, let's say $1,000, which would be a pretty significant amount for me, I guess the right thing to do would be to hand it out evenly to everyone asking for money. Good morning. Hello. There was an example there. So I would give everyone who asked $1, and given that most of them are children, I'm assuming that they're not going to invest this dollar and try to flip it somehow. So probably, you know, buying soda, buying candy, and at that point I would have, for me personally, you know, scratched off, taken off 2 countries, 2 months of traveling to buy 1,000 kids soda and candy. So not exactly changing their lives. So another option would be to give the $1,000 to just one family or something. But even if I did that, how do I know that that money would actually be put to good use? How do I know that the father wouldn't just drink it all away? You know, I would need to see a business plan or something, which I have not received despite all the people asking for money. So anyways, I'm not saying that I don't want to do philanthropic things in the future. I definitely do. Ideally, once I'm in a good financial position, then I would be able to actually give more than I am now. So the money that I have now can actually help me set myself up for being able to give more in the future. And I do feel like I am actually helping these countries a little bit, given that I'm spending money at hotels, restaurants, etc. And with these videos, I'm probably convincing a few people at least to come visit these countries and maybe even do business here, because there's definitely untapped resources. Just ask the Chinese government. Actually, maybe don't ask them. They'll probably not be super forthcoming about that. Hello. But if you do have disposable income and you'd like to see some of it go to people in need, I'll be putting a link to the Red Cross Foundation in the link, in the description below the video, because I've heard that is one of the reputable charities, many of which are actually not. So next up on Hum of the Earth, Scrooge McDuck will be going into Tanzania. And you are welcome to join. And I'll do all the pedaling. And until that video comes out, you can check out my other videos of Malawi, including bicycling through Southern Malawi. That was a good one. My city tour and history videos of Blantyre and Lilongwe. A video journey through central Malawi, and the city tour and history video of Masuzu. This was all part of my journey bicycling from Cape Town, South Africa, all the way to Cairo, Egypt. And before that, I bicycled from Canada, where I'm from, all the way to southern Patagonia in Argentina. And all those videos are available on this very same channel. And if you'd like to see an interactive map of everywhere that I went and everything that I got to see and do, I have that available over on my website, followthehumoftheearth.com, where you can click on the different locations and see the various blog posts and videos I've made of these places. And if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures bicycling through Africa, you can do so by clicking on the red subscribe button below the video and by clicking on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good one.